to the Education Equals Hope podcast. I'm Celeste Bundy.
And I'm Chip Smith.
I am the Executive Director of Education Equals Hope.
And I'm one of the co-founders with Cameron Graham Vivanco of Education Equals Hope.
Education Equals Hope exists to provide for the education of students who are living in desperate and difficult situations around the world. And the point of this podcast is
So let's back up. Around the world, where are we?
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Yeah. Around the world.
That's a big statement.
Yeah. So we definitely want to get into that of everywhere that we serve. But as of today, you guys are a part of a community that helps over 3,000 students in 7 different countries around the world.
A day.
To
eat and go to school and health and medical and all the stuff we can help with them on this journey.
Yes. And clean water.
Clean water.
Yeah.
We've thought about clean water.
Yeah. So, we are wanting to start a conversation, continue the conversation that you guys have been a part of for the past 4 seasons with Cameron and Jorge Luis, our dear friends and co-laborers in Ecuador. But to Chip's point, I mean, you guys, we are not just in Ecuador anymore. And we have grown out of Ecuador since 2012. So we just want to, we feel like we need to do a better job of communicating all that you're a part of. So that's what the purpose of this podcast is. So we're excited that you're joining us. So today I just really kind of want to, Chip, for you and I to have a conversation, really to pick up with what Cameron and Jorge Luis shared on the last podcast, which was that you really have a heart and a passion to help people understand what they can do to help change the world.
That's right. People always ask me, I want to help, but I don't know how to help.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully our conversations and hopefully we can interview people and see, it's very simple. It doesn't have to be a grandiose idea to how to help somebody. It can be just putting one step in front of the other and helping locally or internationally, and hope we can give you some advice on that and show you where you can get involved if you want to.
Absolutely. So if you wouldn't mind, would you tell us a little bit about your story and how your life started down this path of bringing hope to students around the world?
Yeah, I'm an Episcopalian, and we have something called Cursillo, which is a renewal weekend. There's a lot of different ways. The Methodists call it Walk to Emmaus. I can't remember the other ones, but it's a renewal weekend, and I went through that, and really it changed my life in a lot of perspectives. We won't go into that detail right now. That's another podcast. But yeah, I came back and said, I'm not doing too many things right in my spiritual life or my personal life. And so it was so strange. Right after that, our diocese was taking a vision trip to Ecuador to see Cameron, and I didn't know where Ecuador was. I'm not kidding, guys. I did not know where it was. I knew where Colombia was and Peru, but I did not know. So it's kind of in between that for you people who don't know like I do.
Pull out your maps.
Yeah, that's right. So I got on a plane and went down there and saw Cameron and saw what her dream was. I think she had 30 students at the time. And she was pulling money out of the ATM, paying for their school fees and their uniform fees and whatever came up. As you can imagine, it's not just as simple as school fees. There's always a special need for a certain child or a community that we try to address as we go through this journey and this process of growing this organization. So I came back and went to Ecuador and experienced what we call a vision trip, which is a short-term vision of what Education Equals Hope does. It wasn't even called that back then. Yeah. It was just Cameron's Special Scholarship Fund or something.
Probably like basic education.
Basic education. Wink, Cameron. And I came back and said, "Hey, I'm a business guy. I'm not a missionary, and I'm not a preacher. I'm just a business guy, and I can help with this thing." And believe it or not, I came back and we incorporated the first trial. We used LegalZoom. LegalZoom.com for all your nonprofit needs.
This is not an endorsement.
It is an endorsement. Send us some money, LegalZoom. And I came back and we were incorporated and we got going and here we are. What, 15 years later?
15 years.
Do we have an anniversary coming up?
We do. We actually celebrated our 15th anniversary on August the 25th. That is our incorporation date with the state of South Carolina. And as Cameron mentioned in the last podcast, we're actually having an anniversary celebration that we would love for you guys to come and join us. It's going to be on Thursday, April the 3rd in Fort Mill, South Carolina, because that's where Chip lives, and that's where and so that's where we were registered. It's still where we work, and a lot of you guys, a lot of our community of hope are in the Carolinas. So we felt like that would be a convenient place just to celebrate everything that you guys have been a part of over the past 15 years.
15 years. It seems like yesterday. That's why I've gotten so old. Old. I was 50, I guess.
Oh my goodness! Wow,
Isn't that crazy?
yeah.
Almost your age.
Oh, you gosh, Ralph. Let's edit that out, that part. No need to fact check that information. But I think one of the things that every time I hear you tell your story, Chip, is that, like you said, you weren't a missionary. You didn't go to Ecuador thinking, I'm going to fall in love with this program and come back and make a difference. You were just an ordinary business person.
Very ordinary.
And it captured her heart. And guys, like, I've had the privilege of working with Chip for over a decade in different ways, but I think it's a challenge to you, and would love to hear your thoughts on this of like, who are those people in your life who just magically appeared and they've just changed your life in one way or the other? And
yeah, that's a great thing, Celeste, because we've all been touched by people through our. We make fun of the word journey because we think it's overused a lot, but it is a journey. It's a spiritual journey. It's a personal growth journey. All this stuff. So we're not chuckling because of journey, but it's kind of funny. But yeah, it's amazing that people come to your lives. And I do think it's a God thing, to be honest with you. I do think God puts people in your lives in certain times to maybe open doors or to see things or help understand things. It's what Cameron did to me, be honest with you, when I went down there. And I went down there, I said, Cameron, this is all fine and everything. Why don't you just write a check and send money? And of course, through our journey through that week, she actually taught me why send money is great, y'all. We need money like everybody. But how you process this and see what your spiritual growth or gifts are, how you come back and look at your family and your spiritual life and your personal life and people you're not friends with anymore or want to be friends. It's amazing what a vision trip does to you personally.
Exactly. Yeah. And we would love to invite you guys to come along with us
on this journey.
And on our vision experiences. We take teams to Ecuador every January, February, and also every late September, early October. We'll put a link in our bio so you guys can learn more about that. And then we also are taking a vision team to Africa in June. To visit our programs in Kenya and Uganda and Madagascar as well. So if you want to learn more about that, please leave us a note and we'll send you some information. But yeah, I just think that just the power of relationship. Like,
yes.
We talk about that all of the time at Education Equals Hope, that this is, as Chip mentioned, it does take funding for a nonprofit to exist and to grow and to run. But at the heart of who we are is the relationship.
And being intentional with people.
Right.
Which is even as important as being intentional. And you think about that word intentional, I mean, you actually have to put yourself out there a little bit. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, it's risky.
Yeah. So you're more vulnerable than you normally like to be. And so, and I'm not that kind of person usually. But being intentional in people's lives is very important.
Yeah, and you have an image on your phone that talks about when you get out of your comfort zone, that's where the magic happens,
People say, why do I have to go to Africa or Ecuador to do a vision trip? Why can't you do something locally? Let me tell you, friends, you can do all the things you want to locally. We don't want you to pick one or the other. We want you to do both if you can, because it's so important to step out to a country that you don't speak the language. You don't know where you are. You wake up the next morning. You came in late at night. You can't listen. Where am I? And look.
And why am I waking up to chickens?
And there's a volcano right there. Which Ecuador is beautiful, by the way. If you ever get a chance to go there.
So just relationship is so important to us. We're honored to be in this relationship with you guys. So we'd just again love to hear who are those people that made their way into your life that made a difference.
And how did they make a difference?
Yeah.
Not just who they are, but how did they make a difference?
How did they make a difference? And if that's in your life personally, or maybe like the experience for Chip and Cameron and me and so many others of, just that ripple effect of hope that we get to be a part of. So thanks for thanks for sharing your story.
My story,
and
my journey.
And on your journey. Well, kind of, not to make light of it, but I do want to share a little bit about the journey, if that's okay with you guys, of just how Education Equals Hope to go from helping one student in Ecuador to now being in 7 countries, Laura Farinango. Yeah, Laura.
Mm-hmm.
Laura actually leads one of our
I
programs.
know
at
she
Woodward
does.
Oaks. So,
I know she does.
again,
And she was high school. Did she go to college? I don't remember.
I don't know. We'll
But
have
she
to
did get
ask.
her high school education through Education Eagles.
Yeah, yeah. And as a 12-year-old, I believe she was in first grade or third grade.
Yeah, as a 12-year-old.
Yeah, and then because of the relationship that Cameron built with her, really launched this amazing idea.
Yeah, sorry, Cameron, I'm messing this up. I think Cameron, her roommate, felt sorry for Laura and wanted to help her, and I think it was $20 a month.
Yeah, it was.
And said, we can help. And, that little dream Cameron had of helping that one child has grown into how many kids now, Celeste?
Over 3,000.
And their families.
Yeah, and their communities.
Yes, and their community of hope. I mean, just think about 3,000 times, 4 or 5 or whatever their families are, how this is grown like,
Exponentially, yeah.
Multiplied.
It's the impact that you guys are having.
Yeah.
The Education Equals Hope is having around the world. It's really hard to put into words and into numbers, but and to learn more about Laura's story, you can go onto our website, which is educationequalshope.org, and at the bottom of the page, there's a link to a YouTube video that will star Chip Smith, and Cameron and Laura, and you can hear and learn more about her story. But I want to share a little bit outside of Ecuador today is that we have grown to 7 countries. We now work in Haiti, Rwanda, Costa Rica, Kenya, Uganda, and Madagascar.
And that's where the animals leave the island singing, driving the boat?
Yeah. I think they like to move it. And that joke never gets old. We tell it all the time. Every time we're talking about Madagascar, we immediately break into song, which thankfully we didn't do that on this podcast. But just again, like as Chip mentioned earlier, it's not just education anymore. Jokingly, we could change our name to Clean Water Equals Hope. Or
health equals hope.
Yes. Or
food equals hope.
Yeah. Or goats equals hope.
Equal hope. Or wheelchairs equal hope. It's just changes.
And when you are in relationship with people who are living in desperate and difficult situations, who are in tough spots, you're meeting those tangible needs, those everyday
challenges.
Yeah, the challenges, those missing pieces. Because, I have a dear friend who says, hungry stomachs have no ears. And that means, if a student has not eaten in 3 days, how are they going to be able to learn? They're not going to be able to. So we have to walk alongside, or no, we don't have to. We get the opportunity and it's just amazing to walk alongside of our students and their families, their communities, our ministries partners, to provide those day-to-day challenges that they have. So, when we talk about Haiti, gosh, so much
sad situation,
so much hurt.
Yeah.
But if you have a relationship with the Haitian people, like our students in Le Cai or Cavillon or Savigny or in the Central Plateau and Conge, the resilience of the Haitian people is such an encouragement to me.
Yeah. It truly is a blessing to deal with these people.
Yeah.
At least for me, a monthly basis, and you probably a daily basis.
Yeah.
And shout out to Joyce Pipkin and Susan Meter.
And Powell Hickman.
From our diocese. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just those people are salt of the earth, and they just keep the programs running. And it's, as the need is endless, especially in Haiti. My gosh, God.
Yes.
We shall pray for Haiti.
Yes, please. And learn everything that you can. That's what we hope, that you join us on a weekly basis to learn more about how you can give hope to the world.
And how we can help you in that journey.
Yeah.
I'm not going to use the word anymore, but
really, every time of your journey, eat some candy or something.
We hope to give you examples of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe, we want to interview people and how they've done it and what their next step is and how simple that little change can be. It can be just, we always tell somebody, I mean, it's not all financial, but a lot of times it is. Just one less Starbucks cafe latte, extra hot, double pump a week is, they really can help somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, help somebody's need.
Yeah, I think the average cost for to feed a classroom in Haiti, not just one person, for a whole day is $25. So I know that I waste that all of the time on eating out or, just all of the things. But we don't, this isn't to make anyone feel guilty. It's just a change of perspective, like.
Just to understand that you're like a change of perspective, or you have choices. I mean, I love the Starbucks cafe, whatever darn thing is. I love that stuff. But when you put it in perspective, that's $5 or $6 every time. When you put that in perspective, it can change. It can really help.
Yeah.
Have one less a week. I mean, it's just easy. But really, we want to talk about where are we going from this, Celeste? What are we doing?
Yeah. So we really want to take the Hopecast. And this was not planned, but we want to cast hope. We want to educate not only students, but our community of hope. We want to educate you guys. And we actually want to engage more in relationship. We want to hear from you of what do you have questions about education equals hope, or about food insecurity? When we say, $25 will feed a classroom in Haiti for a day, I'm sure a lot of people that are listening to this are like, wait, there's no way. Let us teach you. Let us teach you how rice and beans can go a very long way for a classroom, how these students are, when I was in Haiti in 2018, and unfortunately the only time that I've been able to go.
Because of safety.
Because of safety issues, yeah. I was so impressed that a lot of the students at one of our schools had lunch boxes, and I was like, celebrating the fact that they were, bringing the 1980s 10, Superman lunchboxes, and then I was educated in the fact that those kids were actually taking that scoop of rice and beans home so that their whole family could have something to eat. And so those are the types of conversations we want to have. What does it look like to help feed students in Haiti and Kenya and Uganda? How far can your dollar go? We also want to, again, I just want to make a disclaimer. We are not experts on any of these things by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah. And again, this is where we need your help.
We hope to interview experts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring their point of view to the table.
Absolutely. What does it look like? What's the PTSD that our students will experience because of the political unrest in Haiti? What are the impacts of growing up as a homeless child on the streets of Kampala or Entebbe?
Or even here in the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's food insecurities, as we all know. There's health insecurity. I mean, lacking of health care. We all know that. So we're not going to just focus on the places that we have relationships with, but what's in the United States. We're all going to learn about this.
Yeah.
Because, I always said we ride by more need than we could have the ability to even look at every day of our lives.
Right.
It's just understanding how to take that first step and do something. Again, doesn't have to be big. We just want you to do something.
Yes, absolutely. And I just, that is the point of the podcast, is to educate and to encourage you to take that next step to give hope to the world.
Yeah.
And to Chip's point, that is going to look different in every single person's life. If that means one of the things that I love about being part of teams in Ecuador and Africa is in Ecuador specifically, we spend a lot of time in one community called Cristo Librador. And keep in mind, we are focused on kids' education, but we get to go to calisthenics classes.
Yeah.
That's how you say it, with the abuelitos or the grandparents. And these grandparents can outwork me out. I mean, I'm sweating to the oldies, and they're just like, nothing's wrong. But we've seen people come back from spending time with the elderly in Ecuador and say, I haven't seen my grandparents in 6 months, and they live 15 minutes away from me. And so, again, it all goes back to those relationships that play
and being intentional.
Yeah, and play a key importance in their lives. So we just want to kind of open up this platform to communicate with you guys, to learn more about you and what you want to learn from us, or how we can learn together.
Yeah.
If you have a book that you've read that has inspired you or kind of changed your life, we have a dear friend, Cole Martin, who was on the podcast back in 2022.
I guess.
Gosh, time flies.
Doesn't it?
But he read Banker to the Poor and has wanted to get involved in microfinance. So he joined us to see how he could use his skills that he's obtained from his jobs here in the States to help families, students, teachers around the world. And so, so please comment below of maybe a book that you've read that maybe we could interview those authors, or
We can interview you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd love to interview you. We'd love to have you on and tell how that book made a difference in your life, and hopefully what you did with that information, because that's the most important thing, is how you take that first step.
Yes,
Don't you think?
absolutely.
And not be scared or timid to do it, which we all are. We are to a point.
Yeah, and that first step is super scary, but that's what a community is for, is that we're here to take that step with you. And so maybe you've read a book recently and you're like, I just don't know about this.
That makes me very nervous.
Yeah. Like reach out and say, hey, do you have any experience in this? Like, what did you do? And we may or may not have the answer, but we would love to help find that connection.
We will put up a suggested reading list of books that we have found very helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. You weren't going to use that word.
I know. I couldn't help it.
But like, one of the books that I read in 2024, which is older now, was Difficult Conversations with the Black Man by Emmanuel Acho.
Oh, wow.
And very challenging as a white woman to read this book. And like, how do I grow from this? How do I treat my brothers and sisters who are people of color, like, without placing that burden on them to teach me how to be a better person. And tons of great resources in that book. But like, that's an example of a book that really changed the way that I'm trying to live.
Good point.
So, so just, again, want to have a conversation. And then we want to, again, invite you to be a part of this journey with us. We want you guys to celebrate with us. On the last podcast, Cameron and Jorge Luis were talking about how to celebrate well. So as we look at the future, a few things that I would like to kind of just ask is that you follow along with us here on this podcast, on this new version of the Hopecast,
and on Facebook and Instagram and all the platforms we're on.
Yeah. And do that before, in case you give them up for Lent. Do it before. Do it before Lent.
I don't think too many people do that.
I try to, but yeah, we just want to engage in conversation. We'll be putting out information about our anniversary celebration, and again, would love to have you guys join us for that. And then one of the last things that I feel like when we were kind of talking about this podcast, again, something that I heard 13 years ago. I had the privilege of going to a conference called the Justice Conference in Philadelphia, and I heard a young man named Micah Borns, who is a poet, and he recorded a video for World Vision, and it's called "Is Justice Worth It?" So I said, go out and try to find it on YouTube, and it talks about, again, being in a relationship and people who do not have a voice. And is it worth it? Chip, do you think justice is worth it?
I do so.
Yeah.
I think it's, again, it's just such a hard concept to understand sometimes. And it's so broad and so big and so vast. I mean, is justice, of course you think justice is worth it. But how does that come into my life?
Yeah.
How do I live that? That's hopefully what the direction we're going here, right?
Yeah.
And, how do we live that? How do we put that into action in our everyday life, which is so, again, I've said this, it's so hard to figure out and so hard to take that first step. So hopefully we'll be bringing some answers to that, or some hope.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, like, just, again, taking that next step with you.
Yeah,
like,
we're excited about it.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I need you guys to take the next step with me, and what that might look like. But I think the next step will be that we are going to be able to share with you guys a little bit about what you're part of in Costa Rica. In a few weeks, Chip and I will be coming to you live from Ecuador, with our dear friend Boaz.
Yeah. And who's Boaz, Celeste?
Boaz is our African programs manager. So Chip has known Boaz for at least a long time. And because of the growth that we've experienced in Africa, because of our community of hope, we actually get to employ Boaz as our African programs manager.
You actually had 2 employees in Africa.
Yeah. Shem Mate, who is our project coordinator for our Clean Water Initiative, Hope
Which
to
you'll
Others.
hear more about.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll talk about that next.
Okay.
And we're saying, okay, and we'll talk about that journey to Hope to Others. But Boaz was going to get to come and join us in Ecuador, and so I would love for you guys to hear a little bit about his story.
That's great.
Yeah, he's amazing.
I
So,
will hijack this, Celeste.
oh, great.
Celeste, tell us something about you.
Oh, no.
We don't know anything about. Well, I do, but most people don't know anything about you, Celeste. So, what's your story? What's your journey in this? No, seriously, tell them about your history.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say Celeste Bundy leading this organization is probably 90. Well, like I said, it's a huge part of our growth because of Celeste's hard work. And her dedication is just ridiculous, y'all. She works all the time, and we don't appreciate that, Celeste. But who is Celeste Bundy?
I don't know.
Don't go into gory detail.
I was like, don't Google. No. So, as I mentioned earlier, I've known Chip for over, at least a dozen years now. But I think my first thing is that I believe in Jesus, and he is part of my story. Part of the reason why I do what I do. But I'm also a single mom to a young woman named Maya, which is also a part of why my heart is so passionate about advocating for children. And again, she's just a huge part of my life. And again, why I am where I am. But in 2008, I actually went to Ecuador, and I too had no idea where Ecuador was.
I'm sort of embarrassed to say that, but obviously our geography classes in high school didn't do very well.
But so Maya was with me. She was 12. And,
you went before.
I was this is way before my time with Education Equals Hope. But we were flying down, and I'm like, why are we going to South America? I thought Ecuador was in Central America. And then guys, okay, this might be something you could comment on of like, have you ever said something really stupid and felt like an idiot?
Every day.
Yeah. So I was like, why are we going over the Panama Canal?
Oh, so nice.
Okay, this is my education coming through. Thanks, Chester. So I had my first missions experience in Quito, Ecuador. And then in 2009, I had the opportunity to go to Burundi, Rwanda, and Kenya with my church at that point. And that trip changed my life.
Yeah.
Can
do.
I came home from that, and a dear friend, her name's Michelle Dudley. She and I co-founded a nonprofit called Fashion and Compassion, where we partnered with vulnerable artisans throughout the world, sold products that they made, and then sent the net proceeds back so they could feed and educate their children. I see a theme here.
Which is where we came.
Yeah. And then Chip and or Michelle and Chip met, and then...
and a great friend, Caroline Simus.
Yep, Caroline
really was the glue of all this.
Yeah. So Fashion and Compassion started supporting Casa Adalia, which is a safe home for girls in Quito who have come out of trafficking or prostitution. And it's a very similar story to Education Equals Hope. We started working just in Rwanda and Uganda with widows. And to be honest, because it's been 7 years, I don't remember at this point how many countries we expanded to or how many artisans, but we went from selling $18,000 worth of product in 2009 to over $500,000 in 2012. And again, just an incredible opportunity to be able to pour back into people.
Right.
And over time, things changed, and in 2018, I was actually in Burundi, Africa, working with some friends, doing some consultant work from an artisan perspective. And I got a text from Chip and it said, "Where are you and when do you come home?" And I was like, what have I done to make Chip Smith mad at me? And do not ever do that. And I replied when I was coming home, and he asked to meet me 2 days later. And I walked into his office and he offered me this job to be the executive director of Education Equals Hope, which at that point we were in 5 countries. We were impacting maybe 1,200 students, something like that. And that's incredible as well. And I told Chip that I was going to need to pray about it and talk to my family. And now when I tell the story, when I was on my way to Chip's office, I got a text that said that I had $32 in the bank. And I was blown away because I was literally trusting God to provide for my every need. And I had no idea how I had $32. And then when I left Chip's office, I got a text that says, "You have negative $300 in the bank." And I was like, maybe I need a job. And so it was just the perfect timing to come on staff. So this April, that will be 7 years ago.
It's hard to believe, isn't it?
It is. It was like 7 minutes and then also 70 years.
You've done a great job. So everybody involved with this organization just sincerely does appreciate all your help.
Thank you.
What is new for 2024, Celeste, other than this podcast? 2025, excuse me.
Yeah, 2025.
Well, that was 6 to 7 days, 8, 9 days ago.
Yeah. Just like we've had so much growth over the past couple of years. We kind of expected that 2020 with the pandemic would be detrimental to our programs, and we've just seen our community of hope come around us, and we've grown every single year. But to your question, I think 2025 is going to be a year of continued growth for our programs. Hope to Others, which is a new initiative that newish initiative that we started back in 2022. Guys, we have so much opportunity with that program.
Let's hope to others do, Celeste.
Yeah. Well, Chip, let me tell you. So Hope to Others is just a normal business guy, right? So Chip has a background in water filtration. And at the end of 2021, we were talking to our partners in Africa, both in Kenya and Uganda, and both of them shared that they had each lost a student due to diarrhea.
Yeah.
Which was because
something so simple that we don't, again, we take granted. I mean, kid gets sick, you give them medicine, they get better, but kids actually die of it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Because you dehydrate because you're drinking this water that you think is going to nourish you and give you the vitamins and elements that you need to fight the infection. And then at the end of the day, it's actually what kills you.
Yeah.
So these 2 kids died from diarrhea, and we had a conversation, and we were like, we can't let that happen.
And it's
on our watch.
And we were scared and didn't want to step out because this isn't our expertise. I mean, what we're used to.
Right.
We're not experts in anything.
Yeah.
But what we're used to doing. So we figured it out.
Yeah. And so we've distributed over 1,800 filters.
Mostly in Kenya.
But as we mentioned earlier, we've expanded into Madagascar and to Ecuador. Again, so much opportunity. But we need the support to launch those programs in different countries.
How does the filter work, Celeste?
Oh, gosh. I knew he was going to ask me that. So I wish we had one, but...
I know we should have had one. We'll have one next time.
Yeah. So the filter, and we'll provide a link as well, so you guys can check out our website, hopetoothersfilter.org.
Which is short for?
H2O.
Ooh, already smart.
Yeah. That was yeah. Hope to Others, H2O. Get it? The filter is like literally the size of my hand, and it can filter up to 250 gallons of water a day. And if it's taken care of properly, it can last up to 10 years. And we provide a filter to a family and a community, and that filter costs $50.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the way that it works is through a technology that's very similar to kidney dialysis. So obviously the dirty water comes in through one side, and it goes through a series of fibrous tubes.
Hollow fibers,
yeah. And I don't know anything about, sorry if I hit the mic. I don't know anything about microns, but I've learned a lot. But like a human hair is maybe like 30 micron. but the filter actually filters down to 0.01 microns.
Which is well below what the eye can see.
Well, I mean, way below.
It's below the size of a human blood cell, red blood cell.
Yeah. And then cholera and typhoid and dysentery, all of the bacteria that causes those diseases is much larger than that 0.01 micron.
Right.
So all of that, again, bacteria, dirt, cannot filter through the filter. And so what comes out is this beautiful, clean,
life-giving
yeah.
water.
Yeah. And
one thing we do take for granted here in the United States is clean.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's not as just as simple as going to the local fountain and getting water and bringing it back to your house. Most of the time, the girls have to go get the water.
Yeah.
And they have to walk to it. And there's a lot of issues that come with girls being out by themselves and all that. So anytime, they still have to go get the water.
Sure.
But it's just life-giving. We've seen testimony after testimony after testimony of people, lives have really improved.
Yeah. And I mean, it's such a simple solution.
I know.
To a global problem. Like that's one of our taglines on our website is it truly is so simple. And again, to your point, we go into our kitchens and our bathrooms and we turn on a faucet and we fill up a cup of water or we wash our hands and we have just seen so many amazing
That's really
stories.
how Educating Equals Hope has really expanded its offering. We were in these communities doing education, and then the water, clean water really got brought to our attention. And that all these people are getting sick, and some are actually dying, like you said. So we found a solution to bring into these communities to give them water. Actually, the Kenyan Shem we hired, who's a full-time employee.
Yeah.
They call him doctor, even though he's not a doctor, but he is bringing life-giving solutions to these families. And this is poor, y'all. This is, this is sub-poor, or whatever you want to call it.
Extreme poverty.
Extreme poverty. So and you'll hear more about this going forward.
Yeah. And one thing that I want to point out too there, Chip, is that
to me, Celeste?
We're not we don't go into community and go, do you know what we think you need? You need a brand new mixer.
An $800 bottom mix.
Yeah. You don't need, we feel like you need a new grocery store or whatever it may be. Fill in the blank with that, whatever you think might be funny. But that's what's part of being in a relationship is that our partners come to us and say, guys, we lost 2 students to diarrhea. How can we provide clean water?
Or how can we help find a solution?
Yeah.
I think that's an extremely important point with Education Equals Hope. We are not coming and telling them what they need. We work together and we come up with a solution of what that community needs and how it looks like to the best of our ability.
Right. Absolutely. Because, your people and your community know you best and know what you need best. And so we want to support those relationships and grow community development. We talk a lot about sustainability, sustainable development goals and community development, clean water, education. You guys, we are on the radar. I think we meet 12 of the 17 SDGs.
And what is that, Celeste?
Oh, the UN, the United Nations. Yeah. I can't remember what year it was now, but maybe 2018, came up with a list of sustainable development goals. These are goals for everyone that's a part of the United Nations to meet. So we have a little handy dandy reference.
Cheat sheet.
Yeah, cheat sheet. And we can drop the link too and in our content of so you can kind of look at these and see which ones you're passionate about. So for us, some of the things that we work on are zero hunger. And something we'll talk about next is good health and well-being, which is an area of growth for Education Equals Hope in 2025. But, number 4 is quality education, because we realize that education is a key element to breaking the cycle of poverty. If we can help students graduate from high school and they can then go get a job.
A 5th grade education is better than a 4th grade education.
Absolutely.
So help them the best we can.
Yeah.
And where they want to go on their journey. Because sometimes it is up to the student.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, that's what part of being in a relationship is. Right. We're not going to say, I'm sorry, Sarah, you must go to 7th grade.
Yeah.
No, if we will support Sarah.
She might have to be home and take care of the children, their family, or cook, or work, or clean house,
Or walk for water.
Walk for water, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. What else is new? What else will you see out of us in 2025?
We piloted a program of where we gave goats to a dozen widows in Uganda this Christmas season. Again, this was a need that was brought to us of people who are living in desperate and difficult situations who have no way to provide for their children. So what do you need? We need a way to make money in a self-sustaining and supportive way. And so these goats will not only provide the family that received them with milk and nutrition, but each of the goats were pregnant or had just recently had a kid.
Oh, okay. They get the kid with the goat too?
They do.
Oh, I saw little goats getting off back of truck.
Yeah.
It's cute.
We're thinking about calling it Kids for Kids or...
Kids for goats?
No, like kids, like a
kid, like a baby goat's called a what?
A kid. Yeah, Kids for Kids. Yeah. Or...
Well, you have a good selection. Suggestion. Put it in the comments.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Like, we've got Hooves of Hope, or and if you can figure out a way to put hope in it, like that would be, you'll get brownie points for that. Yeah, everything we do is about hope. But really looking to invest in creative ways. Yeah. And when I say invest, I mean I truly mean that. Invest
in the communities we deal with.
Right. Yeah. So. And then really the responsibility of the recipient of the goat is to have that goat have another baby, and then they give that new baby goat to another widow that's in need.
And our ministry partner or coordinator in Africa, Boaz, is in charge of this project.
Yeah.
This was his connections and basically his idea. Mm-hmm. So we're very excited to empower Boaz to do stuff with us.
Yeah. And we'll continue to focus. Our primary focus is on education, right? So, but like we were talking about, there are so many other things. And guys, we could talk for hours, I think, about, we have a school in Haiti that needs a new roof. We have a school in Haiti that needs a new latrine. We have a partner in Kenya who would love to build a guest house so they have income so that they can be self-sustainable.
Edward needs a new home for his ministry called?
Doors of Hope.
Doors of Hope.
Yeah. Imagine that. But I mean, there's just so our goal at the end of the day is to support our partners so that they can do this great work.
Yeah.
And
with your help.
With your help. But that's the cool part, is that we're walking alongside their dreams that are becoming true.
And we're not so much drawn in a line of sand that you can't step over this. That's why believe it or not, folks, we don't own an orphanage.
Yeah. But we don't own a school.
No, we don't. But we are the 100% caregivers of this orphanage now in Uganda. And that's another subject, another podcast. But because they don't have anybody else to help them. And we help them with clothes and primarily food and education.
Teacher salaries,
salaries. So, more about that, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey, Celeste, is that enough for today? That's probably too much information.
Yeah, it's quite a bit. But again, we are excited that you're part of this journey with us. We hope that you continue to join us each and every week for our podcast drop on Mondays. So mark your calendars or
But it's really important to share them.
Mm-hmm.
Share them with your friends, comment on it, because unfortunately, that's how Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff works now, is how much interaction you get with your community. So it's very important.
Just a crazy light bulb idea. Maybe we start a podcast club where people get together and they listen to the podcast, and then we give them some curriculum to talk through.
That would be important.
Any other ideas?
Let us know. Share your ideas with us, please. Yeah. And subscribe to our Instagram page and our YouTube channel. It's very, very important. And share it with your friends. And thank you, guys. Thank you so much for everything you do for us. And not for us, but
for 3,000 students.
3,000. And there are 15,000 parents and grandparents and children and all that. But thank you very much.
Thank you. See you next time.
Bye-bye.